Hello everyone and welcome back to Straight White Whale. My name is Darren Connell and this is my podcast. Well, our podcast, Paul and I. This is episode 36 and it's good to be back. Before we get into the madness and tell you all what we've all been up to, because we've had a couple of weeks off, the podcast today is sponsored by Back Onside. You'll see their wee logo at the top right or top left of the screen.
Yep.
Top right?
Top left.
Top left. Red group. Back Onside are a Scottish charity that deal with mental health. They're fantastic. I've used them and I've worked with them. Libby is an amazing person that's done so much for the Scottish community. She works with football teams and sports people, all that type of stuff. If you go on their website and you might be struggling with stuff, there's a list of things like Alcoholics Anonymous, the Samaritans, all these Scottish charities that could help you if you feel like you need help. Back Onside can help you as well. So their information will be up on the screen and there will be a wee link on the podcast stuff with all their stuff there. So go and check them out. And I know that they're not on the Back Onside website, but Brothers in Arms do all that stuff as well. And you can check out Brothers in Arms. So thank you very much. Let's get into the madness, Paul. How long was that? That was 2 weeks.
2 full weeks, aye.
14 days.
Mm-hmm.
Did you miss me, baby?
I did.
I missed you as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
I felt like I needed that.
Needed a FaceTime call or something?
No, I realised it got toxic. I needed 14 days.
The codependency. We broke it. Yeah, we broke the codependent relationship.
We broke the ring. So you went away on holiday with your girlfriend. Broke the ring. That did not sound good there.
Good, mate, no.
Yeah. You went away on holiday for 2 weeks and I had COVID. So we'll get into the COVID situation first. I found it very funny that I came in here on the previous podcast. I've started calorie counting and eating healthier. And to be honest, mate, it was you that kind of got me into that, just talking about your own stuff.
Right.
And I was like, fuck it. But then I started Googling like calorie counting and realised how popular it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I started calorie counting. Like anything in my life, I went into the deep end, came into the fucking studio, and I was fucked. And I was like, oh my God, man, I think I'm like going through this weird detox.
Aye, man, I remember it now. You were like, I've got a sore head. I think it's the sugar or something like that.
Aye, because I wasn't drinking coffee and I wasn't eating sugar, but because I'm calorie counting, I'm drinking coffee and I'm eating sugar now. I'm just within my range. But I was like, God, I can't believe, like, my muscles are aching. Like, I'm fucked. And it started to hit me when I was doing the podcast. I actually listened to the podcast and I was coughing and shit. I never even realised.
Right.
So by the time I walked it home, I walked it for the studio to my house. And by the time I got in the flat, I just broke out in this mad sweat. And I was like, that's not a fucking sugar detox.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a sugar detox. You know how we were talking about pot noodles?
Uh-huh.
Tuna and pot noodles.
Uh-huh.
I got a Bombay bad boy walking up the road because I was like, I want a pot noodle. It's been fucking 9 years. I started eating the Bombay bad boy
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, that's not even spicy. And then I thought, wait a minute, I can't even taste that.
Oh, no.
And I
right.
thought, oh,
So you
fuck.
lost your taste and smell, did you?
Taste, smell, and crazy fever sweats and a mental cough. I gave myself a test that night. I tested positive and that was me. I was absolutely fucked for 10 days. But I basically lay in the couch for like 10 days, mate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was still calorie counting. So I was
Right.
like, if I don't move and I'm on this couch, the next time I'm on this podcast, I'm going to look like fucking sloth for the Goonies. So it made me like stick to the calorie counting. So that's been like 23 days.
Oh, amazing.
But fucking hell, man, the COVID was intense, mate. Like,
Aye, man.
mental. Like, I think early kind of lockdown and stuff, there was a couple of times I lost my sense of my my smell and stuff and my taste, but no like that. It was the first 2 days, the cough was mental. And I did think like, if I was an old person, vulnerable or like disabled or something, you're in trouble big time. Because it was intense, but I'm like, I feel like I'm just fit enough to kind of push through it.
Right.
So the first 2 days were wild. And then after the 2 days, it just felt like a really, really bad cold.
Right.
But it was fucking rough.
How did you survive staying on your own?
Do you know, it was really weird, mate. It was weird. 10 days in the house by myself.
How did you get food?
When I walked, when I bought the pot and noodle, I got a shop in. So
thank fuck.
I got a shop in, and the fridge was stacked for stuff for Aldi. So I did feel like I was in a wee prison cell though, like Old Boy. Have you seen Old Boy? I felt like Old Boy, just like 3 meals a day, a snack, and just watching Netflix. But it was intense, mate, and it was weird because the 5th, I was like, no way, I'm getting used to this. This is quite enjoyable.
Aye, right.
And then the 5th, 6th day, I started to felt like I was going mental.
Right, aye, pure I need to get out, need to do something.
Like muttering to myself and all that when I'm eating fucking my dinner. I'm like, I need to talk to some kind of like,
I need somebody to talk to.
But towards the end, I felt like it ended perfectly, and I was like, God. Even when I went out for a walk, I still felt rough. And I was like, fucking hell, man, that floored me.
Aye, man, brutal.
Have you had COVID?
No, not yet, mate. And I was in the room with you.
I know, mate.
I was in the room the day before with Kieran. Kieran got it. And I'm like, how the fuck am I not getting this? Mate, I slept in the same bed as my bird. Had it, I didn't catch it. I've got no idea what the fuck is going on.
Aye.
Unless I've had it and I've just not known or something like that. It's just not been that bad. But I was like, oh no, man. I knew it. I'm going to fucking test positive and not be able to go on this holiday. But
my heart's, I'll be honest with you, mate, my heart sank. See, because you were like,
mate, fuck,
I know, but you were getting it. I'm in holiday mode. Your eyes were pure bright white.
Aye, because you were the last thing that I did before other than editing and doing shit on my laptop. But this was the last thing that I done before I went away for 2 weeks. But I was like to myself, I'm going to fucking test positive here. I'm not going to be able to go. But I didn't. I was actually like, should I just no test?
Aye.
And then
I thought that as well. I was like, maybe I shouldn't tell him, but then you would maybe kill half the cunts on the plane.
That's exact. My morals was just that Sunday as well. And then I was going to transmit on the Saturday. So I was like, no, I need to test, man. Can you imagine if it was like fucking some mad super spreader was at fucking transmit? Then on a flight to Grant, they'd be able to track me. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But no, I took a test, man. Nothing. I was like, thank fuck for that. But mate, it's mental, mate. We're sitting here the new 26th of July. This morning, I've had 2 cancellations for podcasts this week. People with COVID.
Everybody's getting it.
Aye, man, just running rampant.
I did think, like, how could I get it? Where could I get it? Went to an AA meeting, and people are very cuddly and touchy. Couple of cuddles and stuff. Like, that way you get people that cuddle you without even warning you.
Aye.
I'm like, I don't really know that cunt, man. He's fucking full-blown smooching me here. So I think I might have caught it off somebody in an AA meeting, but there's no point in even thinking about it. I tell you what, though, I do feel better for getting it. I felt like it's broke down some type of mental barrier, thinking, do you know what? It's tough, but you can get through it. Like, before I got it, I was like, I don't want to be hooked up to a fucking ventilator.
Right. You mean like, for actually getting COVID, like anxiety, like health anxiety? But I thought you were going to say, like, a lot of people have said that they've caught it and then they've had like a renewed sort of zest for life because it's a life-threatening virus, and then they get it and they come out the other side and actually, like, life isn't that bad. Do you know what I mean? I've heard a couple of people say that. Like, I had mental health problems or issues before it, and then I caught it, and because I thought I could die here, I don't want to die. It's, what do they call it? Life affirming.
No, I'm still dead inside. I'm still horrifically dead inside. It might have took away my taste and my smell, but it also took away my love for life. So
you're blaming COVID.
Aye.
That fucking AA meeting. What's the cigar situation? Are you still after cigars?
Still off the cigars, mate. How did somebody see me?
No, just that
You get people out watching.
aye, mate, I've got my spies. No, it was just like maybe I would say a couple of weeks ago, but no, like 2 podcasts ago, you were like, oh, I've had a couple of cigars, and I'm like, I know what you like.
I had a couple of cigars, aye.
Right, I was thinking 4 weeks, you're going to be like, I'm having like 3 a day. It's all right, but it's just 3 a day.
I'm on edible tobacco.
Snuff.
No, I had a packet. I got a packet. I don't know why. And it wasn't for stress. I just done that. Fuck it. It's the weekend. I'm getting cigars. It was one of the ones.
Right, aye.
And I smoked it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I've not had it since. I mean, I'm looking at my calorie tracker there. I've been calorie tracking for 24 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I've not had a cigar for over 24 days.
Brilliant, mate.
So
you weighing yourself?
I've no weighed myself. The last time I weighed myself was I did the podcast and I weighed myself with Nathaniel. I've no weighed myself since then. I do feel like I've lost weight, like not massive amounts. I need to remind myself that I was 10 days no moving as well. Oh, wow. But I was still in a calorie deficit. I've been between 2,000 to 2,200 a day. I used the James Smith calorie thing when you put in your height and your weight.
Right.
And I was 3,000 calories a day.
Maintenance?
Aye.
Right.
And I just put it down to 2,200.
Right.
So I take it that's a deficit.
Aye, well, it's an 800 calorie deficit. And I think for every 1,000 calories you're in a deficit, rule of thumb, obviously there's variables, you lose a pound. So that would be every 3 days you lose a pound.
Well,
so that means that so 2 a week, £2 a week, £14. So that means like 7 weeks you'll lose a stone.
There you go.
So keep going with it.
I know that I've lost weight because this is a double XL, right?
Right.
I've got an XL one of these in the flat, and I put it on in the flat, and it fits, but it doesn't quite fit me.
Aye, I know what you mean.
It fits me when I'm standing up.
Aye, it's not comfortable. Makes you feel that uncomfortable way. Like if you were sitting down, you'd be like, "Oh, try to claw it out and all that."
Like if I was sitting down wearing it, there'd be a left tit poking out the top of this t-shirt, but it still fits.
Right, aye.
So I am getting there.
Mate. That's good.
Anyway, moving on for COVID and all that shit. How was your holiday?
It was fucking amazing, mate. I mean, it was like paradise. Really, it was like the far end of the island at Gran Canaria, so it took us forever to fucking get there. But it was like an old fishing village called Terran, and they've got like a wee bit that they've sort of carved out because the Canary Islands are volcanic rock, so they're just mountains and shit. They've carved it out, put a couple of hotels, but it was really quiet. Not in a volume of people way. It was busy. The hotels were busy, but it was a quiet bit of Gran Canaria. You know what I mean? People weren't there like steaming and shouting, and it was like families. It was all inclusive. Have you ever been all inclusive before?
Yes.
On a holiday. See the way like they had rabbit, and you're like, why is there rabbit? They had like duck, and you're like, right, where's the steak? No, like that. They had like weird shit.
Aye, like squid and all that. You're like,
aye, they had fucking seafood salad and it had squid and all that in it. Breakfasts were fine, so we just ended up going down to a wee place at the beach, just like a wee beach sort of hut place. Food was fucking banging, and it was cheap as fuck. We just went there every night pretty much, but it was good, mate. It was a couple of days too long.
Yeah.
Like I got to the point where it's like, right, I'm done sitting by the pool here. I've read my book. I feel like I've relaxed.
Yeah.
It was too hot to really do much.
Or was it ultimate chill out? Like total chill out holiday?
Aye, it was mate, it's like I do so much in life. Do you know what I mean? Like if I have time off, now you get people that get time off and they're like, I'm going to do stuff in my time off. I'm like, I want to relax.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to the point where we went to the water park, we went to the beach, we went jet skiing, we went out on a boat, and it was just kind of like you were waiting to get home. So like that type of way, we were just sitting by the pool, and it was like, right, I'm just kind of waiting to get home. Plus, literally, my cats all at my veins, and I was like, I want to get home and see the cats.
I miss my babies.
100%.
You're looking very healthy, by the way. So anytime I come back for a holiday, I look like I've had an allergic reaction to something.
Do you know take a tan? This is my tan fading, I suppose.
No, I
Starting
take
to
a
fade.
tan, but like you're talking about an all-inclusive holiday. The last time I went on a holiday that was all-inclusive was Bulgaria.
Right.
And it was all-inclusive, obviously. But my shirt, I had a beautiful shirt and it fitted me. It was very baggy. And by the end of the holiday, it was just completely open with a skip hat back to front. Like, you remember Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Mac get fat and he's like in the middle of the dance floor? That was me.
He rips his shirt open and sort of relaxes like,
Aye. Because it was like squid for my breakfast.
Right. I mean, I lost weight, I think.
Yeah.
I lost weight because the stuff that was good was like eggs, you know, like toast for breakfast. But then see, like the dinners, the stuff that was really good was like vegetables, potatoes. So I wasn't like eating shite. So I think I actually lost some weight while I was there. But I did get into that sort of like 1 o'clock cocktail habit. You know what I mean? Like I came home and I was like, there was a lot of bevy. You know what I mean?
Do you know what, mate? Fuck it. It's holiday.
Oh, mate, 100%. I'm no fucking, I'm no like feeling down about it or anything like that. I fucking deserved it. I worked for it. But I like I said, I just got to that point where I was just like, I would rather be in my own house now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've done all the holiday shit. The sunshine doesn't impress me.
What was the reaction of your cats when you walked through the house?
Fuck me, man. They were like, one of them. So I've got 2 cats, right? Salem and Banks. And Salem is like my mirror. He's pure stoic. People are like, you know, come in and, oh, he's beautiful. He's just like, don't touch me. Do you know what I mean? Like people go to clap him, he like dodges their claps and stuff like that. You need to work hard for him to be affectionate, and that is 100% what I'm like in life. And then Banks is like a mirror of my bird. He's just pure mushy, just flops and just wants claps and cuddles. And so when we walked in, Salem was in a wee mood. Like, where the fuck have you been? Do you know what I mean? Like, see, for a couple of hours, he was just sort of like looking at his shoulder, giving his wee side eyes. And then after we'd been home for about an hour, he was pure, right, I'm ready. And he was pure all eras. But Banks was just, the two of them were just meowing like fuck when we walked through the door. But the rescues, like, I think I've said on the pod before, I took them, my auntie died of cancer and then my uncle died of COVID. And I rescued them. Yeah. So I think they had a wee bit of abandonment. They don't like it when you're not there.
Yeah.
When you come in, there's been Amsterdam earlier on in the year, and the same thing happened. Looking through the door, and Salem was like, "No, fuck off. Where have you been? You know, you've got some questions to answer." But it was good to see them. They bring so much joy, mate. I honestly see if people struggle and they don't have animals, get a wee animal.
Yeah.
They bring a lot to you, like a wee bit of purpose, because you need to take care of them. You need to feed them and blah, blah, blah. But see, even sometimes, man, I just sit and look at them and I'm walking down the road for here for the studio and I just think about going through the door and seeing them and just have a wee smile on my face. Like, they genuinely make you happy.
And buying them treats and toys and all that. And you're like, aye, this is good. It's weird how you're saying they're similar to you and your girlfriend. That's like a weird quantum leap episode.
Aye, and think about that we didn't raise them.
Aye.
It wasn't like, you could understand maybe if you're like, I will use raised them, but Banks was 7, 8, and Salem was like 5 and 6 when we got them. So it's not like we fucking raised them, but it is really funny. And Salem is like my shadow, and Banks is her shadow. So it's weird how it's worked out.
That is like quantum leap.
I know, man.
Your cat looks in the mirror and it's just your bird looking back at it.
It's just me.
Oh boy, meow meow.
But no, I love them, man. And I was just sitting, I had somebody coming in feeding them twice a day, but they need a lot of attention. Cats, dogs as well, man. They need a lot of love, a lot of attention, and they didn't get it for 10 days. Do you know what I mean? So I was feeling a bit like, make sure they're all right.
So that was your holiday and it went well. Good on you. What was Transmit like? Because I don't think I've spoke to you about that.
No.
Here, Lewis Capaldi looks like he's fucking had an allergic reaction.
Stung by a bee.
I hear I'm no mocking Lewis, by the way. I say that because I seen him, right, and I'm like, aye, I get it. I get it. I can completely get it.
Oh, you mean like me and him? Like,
Aye.
I know what's going through, what's happening here.
Aye, like sometimes you see him and you're like, handsome boy, and then other times you see him and you're like, oh, I'm not going to continue.
Do I say it? Get cancelled.
You've been smoking smack?
I went on the Saturday. It was weird. We had like a VIP guest list for a mutual friend, from a friend of mine that was playing at Transmit. And I had sent him a DM. It's weird to see like the pure law attraction stuff. I sent him a DM saying, listen, mate, I really want to come and see you at Transmit, so I'm going to just get a day ticket for the Saturday. And he was like, you're the only person that's come into my DMs no asking for a guest list, so I'm going to give you a guest list. And I was like, no, you don't need to do that, mate. And he was like, no, mate. He was like, I can't believe that you would pay £100 to come and see me do a set at a festival. And I was like, it's your first major festival, mate. I want to be there. He's like, I'll make sure that you come along. You don't need to part with £96.50 or whatever it was.
Amazing.
For the day ticket.
That's the boy that's a rapper, isn't he?
Aye, Bems. So
Bems.
if anybody wants to go and check him out, man.
Aye, because I think we follow each other. When you say we're mutual friends, we're mutual followers. I follow him because I know he does a podcast here. And he's a good guy, isn't he?
Ah, he's a great guy.
Aye, he's a
lovely guy. He does a lot of sort of stuff. We Are Here Scotland, which is sort of promoting people of colour.
Yeah.
You know, like through creative endeavours. Because, I mean, Bems is one of the first proper black Glaswegian, even though he's no Glaswegian, but coming out of Glasgow's music scene.
Yeah.
And I find that incredible, mate. It's 2022 and we've never had anybody that's really made it.
Yeah.
But I'm a seasoned festival goer. I went to Tea in the Park for 10 years in a row. I played at multiple festivals, Glastonbury, Reading and Leeds. I've been to every major festival in the UK for sure. Wickerman, Rock Ness, and I've got to say it was fucking garbage.
I was not expecting that,
terrible, mate.
That surprised me.
Me and Sean had a great day. Like, we had a couple of drinks, we stoated about in the sun, we had the VIP guest passes so we could go for a piss in the nice toilets. We had like a beanbag area and stuff like that. But see, as far as like the lineup, it was fucking treacherous, man.
Yeah.
Bems was fucking excellent. There's tons of footage on social media. Go and see. Like, he managed to get first on, a couple of hundred people there. Everybody just eased himself into the day. By the end of the set, cunts were throwing pints about and all that. It was fucking class. And one thing's good about Bems is he platforms people. So he got a couple of mates up to do a couple of their songs.
Amazing.
And think about like your first major festival appearance. You've got half an hour and you give 10 minutes to people.
That's amazing, man.
It's fucking class, isn't it?
Aye.
But we went
He's sharing the love, isn't he? He's like, I've got an amazing chance of a lifetime here. I want to spread the joy.
And what was really amazing was after his set, that Riverside stage just emptied of people. So they were all there to see him, which for the people that were on after him, not so great. But because I've been there, I've been that person walking onto the stage where the people that were on before you have got a fucking packed out stage and then you're playing to fucking nobody. But selfishly, as him being my mate, it was great to see. But to get back to why I didn't enjoy it was I enjoyed the day, but as a music festival, it was just a lineup, mate. Like, the best act of the day was Example.
Wow.
And I'm not slagging Example, he's just no my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But he came out and he put on a show and he had a DJ and they were playing like club classics and then he was playing one of his tunes and then he was doing like a sort of cover and he got the place bouncing. But the Strokes, they were fucking awful, mate. God awful. I
can't believe that, man. That's mental.
Come on, didn't give a fuck. Come on, with no energy. I mean, they're not exactly going to... It's not the type of music you're going to come on and you're going to be fucking jumping about, right? It's the Strokes.
Yeah.
But he came on, he sat down for like the first two songs, just sat on the drum riser, just singing. And then he said something about the atmosphere was shite. And it's like, the band that was on before you, like Fountains DC, the Snuts, Example, the atmosphere's been electric.
Yeah.
And they just sucked the atmosphere out of the place, man. It was so weird. He said something about we would rather be playing in the Barrowlands and playing this and that, and you're just like, fuck off, mate.
Imagine saying that like, God knows how much they're getting paid for that. Even just say 40 grand or something, right? To say that on a stage is shocking. Like, shut the fuck up.
Go on with what you're doing. But I went to see Jim Eat World. They were brilliant. I love Jim Eat World.
Yeah.
Maximo Park.
Yeah.
And they were good, but it's just that kind of way where you're like, Jim Eat World, fucking best materials out in 2001, 2000, Maximo Park 2004, 2005, Example 2008, 2010.
Yeah.
The Snuts, no my thing, but they fucking smashed it. But it was just that, I just came home sort of going, seen like 3 bands there.
Yeah.
Just stoated about the rest of the day. So
you thought it was shite because of the bands and it wasn't because of the punters?
The quality of the acts, really.
Yeah.
There were, and I mean, it's sold out, and I get that, but there was points at that main stage where you were trying to get from one side of the main stage to the other to like meet people and that, and you couldn't move. It was just so busy. I don't know if they oversell it or whatever, but I don't know, man. I just, as somebody that loves music, loves going to see live music, I was left disappointed by it, but I had a great day.
Yeah.
So as like a day out, you know, as like a spectacle, we had a laugh, had a good time, but I was just a bit like, is that the quality of a music festival nowadays, man? Just like...
That gives me the fear, man, because I'm expecting a comedy tent to pop up there soon, because there's always been comedy at T in the Park. I think I did comedy at T in the Park.
Oh, did you?
Before it get
cancelled?
Aye, because it went up to it moved location. It was at a castle.
Strath Blair or something.
I think
Strath
so,
something, wasn't it?
And we were in a comedy tent, mate. And then, you know what? I had a good gig, but it was a 600 fucking tent. And there was only 70 people in.
Right.
Like mental, mate.
Well, the crowd were great. The atmosphere was good.
Yeah.
If you walk past, like, do you know where it looked mace jumping? The sort of... It wasn't even like a dance bus. That was bouncing all day. It looked like great atmosphere. So see if they did put a comedy tent on at Transmit, I think it would be all right in that regard, because the crowd are great. The people that are going are fucking up for it. But just the quality of the acts, it was just a bit of a letdown. Like, I know that it's hard to compare, and this is I'm getting into this territory of like, well, in my day, but fuck, dude. I remember one year at T in the Park.
Back when I was a boy.
Aye, I remember, totally, but I remember one year at T in the Park, we went for the main stage, right? It was Feeder, who are fucking brilliant live band. Then we went to the second stage, and it was like back to back, Weezer, The Proclaimers, Paul Weller. And the place was fucking jumping.
Yeah.
And then you went for there to the main stage, and it was Catatonia and the Stereophonics. That was like a full day for like 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock, where you were going from band to band to band to band. Even if I just pick another one, there was one year where you had the choice between going to see The Prodigy, I say that wrong all the time,
I'm the same.
James Brown, or Green Day.
James Brown?
That was the 3 acts.
Fucking
the main
hell.
stage was Green Day. The King Tut's or the BBC Radio 1 stage was the Prodigy. That's not how you say it, it's Prodigy. Prodigy. Fucking always get that back to back. Or you could go to King Tut's Wawa Hut tent and see James Brown. And the headlight, it's that way where you're just kind of like, I don't know, man. It was boring, like in a musical sense. And I think if it would have probably have made all the difference if the Strokes came out and fucking blew the place apart.
Yeah.
It just felt like the crowd at that time of night, 10:30 at night, took a bit of a dip in energy, and they needed somebody to come out and like raise it, and they just didn't.
They didn't.
So that was Transmit.
I don't want to badmouth Lewis Capaldi. I like Lewis. He's like funny, and his tunes are good. But I don't think he's got enough songs. So he started like doing stand-up and stuff and filling the gaps between, well, no stand-up, but he's doing like short stories and being funny and stuff.
Right.
And like my niece went there, and I think he was talking about wanking and all that during lockdown.
His Transmit set.
Aye. But obviously like my niece is a grown-up fucking woman, but she's like, I'm there to watch fucking music, no to listen to him talking about ripping the fucking lid off it.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose it's just a wee bit different. But then Paolo Nutini's like that and on to. He's not really got many songs now, has he?
I think he's got enough to do a headline set at
Aye.
a festival. I mean, what is he, 4 albums deep?
Four. I never realised it was 4.
This is his 4th, I'm sure. This
Aye.
one that's just come out. You know, fuck's sake, who am I? But
I'm slagging Lewis Capaldi for saying he's ripping the lid off it when I've been doing stand up for 14 years and that's my shit.
Get your headline transmit. Just write one song, mate, and you can just go and fucking headline. I think there's something to what you're saying though. Like back in the day, people would have to like tour and have an act.
Yeah.
Go out and blow cunts away. Do you know what I mean? Like
and do the bars and all that.
This is exactly what I was going to say, mate. I seen Muse do fucking Origin of Symmetry, which is their 2nd album, in the bars. And fuck, I seen Metallica in the bars. And you're talking like now, they would go straight to the Hydro. See if they were to come out the now, have the same level of success as what they did at the time, they'd be putting them in the Hydro. It's so like trendy to go to these like live events.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that means that people like Lewis Capaldi make a lot of money because he's an artist and he writes music. Fucking amazing. But I think that there's something about being in a smaller venue with an amazing band like that.
Especially the bars. I mean, don't get me wrong, people that gig there know how amazing that is. They'll pick gigging there.
Mm-hmm.
The bars is incredible for a gig, mate.
Oh,
See,
unbelievable.
some of the people that have gigged there are amazing. I've seen Deadmau5 and Motorhead. I think we spoke about that. Fucking hell, man. Some of the gigs there are amazing. You need to do the circuit.
Aye, but they don't need to do it anymore, mate. I mean, I was having a talk to somebody who's a comedian, and I don't know if you agree with this. He definitely did not agree with what I was saying. But I was saying to him that if it goes the way that it's went in America, touring as a comedian is like your passion. That's what you'll do because you love it. Because you can make more money off your TikTok. Like music acts now, like see if you're like bands, I've heard people saying that are in bands were contacting our A&R man and going, we want a tour, and he's gone, no, you're not going on tour, get on TikTok.
That's crazy.
Because that has got way more exposure. It used to be you would come to the Barrowlands, you'd play to 1,000 people, you would 6 months later you'd come back, play to 1,600 people, you'd build your following. Now you can do that online overnight. You can have 1 million people listening to your fucking song if it just goes viral. Tens of millions of people if it goes viral on TikTok. So the record labels are saying to these acts, we're not going to waste money and time putting you on like a fucking 15-night tour. We'll do that once we can make money for that. But see right now, get on TikTok, see if we can get this track going viral, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying to this comedian that really and truly, if you really want to, quote unquote, make it, you should be putting as much effort into your internet stuff as what you're doing the touring stuff. If you're just doing one, like just the touring, like you'll be a dinosaur. Like my sort of thought behind that is guys like Doug Stanhope. Like when all this shit kicked off in America with like the podcasting and viral videos, Doug Stanhope was like one of the top comedians in the country. And then guys like Rogan, Segura, Chrysler, they all just leapfrogged him because they were doing the internet shit.
Yeah.
And so they were selling out. Fuck it. I mean, mate, Brett Chrysler just put on a comedy festival a couple of months ago that was in a fucking baseball stadium. Stand-up comedians going out and playing to stadiums.
That's crazy.
Now, we've got them in arenas. Like, Bridges plays in the Hydro, which is an arena. But do you think he could sell out Hampden?
I don't know.
In fact, maybe he could. If
he did, he'll do like 7 nights at Hydro.
Uh-huh.
I think if he did like 2 nights at Hampden,
he could probably do it. Just as I said that. But I think my point is that they're the last of that. Like Frankie Boyle, Kevin Bridges, they don't need to do the internet stuff. They've already got that massive. But see, for people that are coming up,
yeah, I
think you need to do it. Like you don't need to do it. I think you can be successful just touring, but I think if you do the internet stuff, you could sell tickets. Do you know what I mean? And get a following quicker than what you would going around doing, like the Guardian and then the stand and supporting people. you could pick up, 5 or 6 ticket sales, getting a good support.
Aye.
Or you could do a fucking clip on TikTok and sell it a room. 50, 100 people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've started using TikTok more. I did a TikTok live the other night before the gig. And I was just like, come to the stand and like I'm doing a show, named the acts, and I think it helped. It did help.
Aye.
There was a camera person there at the gig the other night as well. We can talk about the gig now.
Aye, man. Why not?
Aye, so I did the Stand Comedy Club the other night in Glasgow. It was called Darren, Connell and the Funny Bunch. I hosted it. We had Susie McCabe opening. Then there was Rachel Jackson, Mikey Motion and Raymond Mearns. And to be honest with you, anytime I do a gig in Glasgow, it always does well. But that fucking shocked me, man. That surprised me, mate. Like, I turned up and it was like, I was like that to myself, thank fuck I wore a shirt, man, because it was like Friday night buzzing, like
aye, mate.
Cunts were getting sent away at the door. You know, that was full capacity and it kind of shocked us a wee bit, but in a good way. I always get 100% when I gig, but when I walked in and I seen that many people, I was like, fuck, man, I need to bring my A game. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be a nice wee cozy Sunday night gig, but it was brilliant and it was nice to have you there finally at a gig, mate.
Aye, mate, it was good to see you.
It was weird because that's my only 4th time comparing, so I was a wee bit nervous because if I was doing a set, I'd be like, aye, I'll smash it in front of Paul, but comparing is a new kind of thing for me.
Aye, it's different.
Aye, but I did enjoy it and I thought it was a lovely night, man. It was good. It was mental, wasn't it?
Aye, mate, it was fucking class, man. I thought, like, see, for a Sunday night, because you've got to imagine that the Stand are probably like, Sunday nights, you know what I mean? If they can get 100 people through the door,
aye,
they've got to be fucking cartwheeling, you know what I mean?
Aye.
But was 220 capacity in the Stand,
Aye,
something like that, man.
Yep.
Standing room only for the full night as well. Because that's what I
Aye.
was saying to you before we came on mic. I was wondering, maybe when Susie goes off, there might be like a contingent here that are here to see her and they'll just...
Aye.
Every single person stayed for the full night.
Yeah.
Atmosphere was great, crowd were great, and it felt like your crowd.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? People were like shouting to say, fuck man, cunts were turning around saying stuff to me about the podcast.
That's amazing,
A woman
mate.
turned around and went, that M15 clip was cool, and I didn't really hear her, and I was like, what? And then after you were on stage and you were like, this is Paul, he does a podcast, and there was like people like, oh, and some random person went, that M15 clip was really funny, and I was just like, what? All right. And then after you went off, she turned around and went, don't think you heard me, I was saying about the M15 clip. I was like, aye, it's funny as fuck. But,
That's mental, innit?
aye, mate.
It's mental because like people were coming up to me and I mean, it's no their fault, right? I do it with podcasts as well. So I'm like standing at the bar, there's 10 people talking to me and somebody will walk up to me and they're like, I had tuna the other night with a pot noodle. And you're just like, what?
You're like, well, what the fuck?
So they kind of catch you off guard and I'm like, no way, man. There's people, even the day when I posted, we're doing the podcast at 1 p.m, there was quite a lot of comments saying, thank fuck. And people are like happy that it's back.
Aye, mate, I get a few DMs for people.
It's mental, isn't it?
I know,
But
it's crazy.
it was weird because like I know that a lot of people there weren't at my first one, the vegan gorilla in Chums.
Aye, when you asked that question, there was like 5 or 6 people.
Aye.
Well, like, I was here the last time, so it's like a new crowd of people.
So a complete new crowd of people. I can't believe people get sent away for the door, mate. That is fucking unbelievable. Especially when I'm comparing it to the dodgy promoter that I was working with doing my tour and being under that stress and like posting about my gig and being embarrassed about like no selling tickets. And then at the Stand, cunts are pure DMing me saying, I'll suck your fucking balls if you let us in, mate. Like, but
it's good.
What a weird, it was a good crowd, mental crowd. Front row was mental. There was people in there out their fucking nut as well. It was like a Friday, Saturday night, and I really enjoyed it, mate. I mean, I love being a stand-up comedian and I love making people laugh. If comparing came to me, I'd probably demerit it, but I do love just being a stand-up comedian. But I must say that talking going up there and improving and just trying to be funny on the spot was very exciting for me. And I didn't really know. I was trying my best not to be, because compares go up and they just talk about they do jokes for their set,
right?
And they'll split it into sections. So I said I really need to get out of my comfort zone here and no do jokes. So I don't know if you noticed, I was kind of talking about a lot of shit on the podcast and just winging shit with front row people and all that. But after it felt fucking exhilarating. Is that the word? I was like, I felt fucking brilliant, man.
When's the next one?
The next one is August. 2 seconds, let me. 28th of August, Sunday the 28th of August. And that's the level of acts that I intend to have every show, by the way. It's going to be that level. I'm going to keep it at that level. And I just want it to be an amazing night that comedians feel like, I want to go and do that gig. And fuck it. You're more than welcome to come to the next one, mate.
Absolutely,
you can film the next one if you want. Obviously, I'll pay you.
After I got a knockback the last time.
I was one of, do you know, I had one of those things. I was like, Paul's never seen me before. Your girlfriend's never seen me before. I would like you to just come and chill and enjoy it.
Aye, which we absolutely did. You know what I mean? It's that Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like my missus was getting a bit like, you know, that kind of way. And I was like, we're gone. And then when we came out, she was like, it was fucking brilliant.
Aye, and the heat in that fucking room, man. Holy fuck. Mate, I know as a punter it must be roasting, but I mean, I was flat out just screaming about the heat and not even trying to be funny. Like, cunts were just laughing. But I was like, I'm not really trying to be funny here, but people were just going with it.
It's just roasting.
I was wearing a shirt, man, and it was a wee bit tight. And by the end of the night, I was like, this is loose. What the fuck has happened?
Lost some weight.
There was like actual drips of sweat coming off my eyebrow. Like I actually felt self-conscious. Like, cunts are going to think I'm dying on the stage.
Oh, mate, I think every act that went up was pissing sweat apart from Mikey. See, you have a fucking Prince Andrew doesn't sweat due to PTSD or something. He didn't seem to like break a sweat. No, he was in a big kickers jumper. But Susie McCabe and Rachel Jackson didn't really look. But you, Susie McCabe and Raymond Mills notably sweat passion. See, like that sort of like way where you can see the beads of sweat going down the side of the face. So fucking roasting, like you said, it was roasting outside. It was even hotter sitting in the room. And then you've got fucking, I think I counted like fucking 6 or 7 big floodlights on you, man.
There was somebody that walked up to us after it and she had I swear to God, mate, a leather jacket buttoned up to the tap of your fucking neck. And she was like, that gig was brilliant, pal. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing wearing that leather jacket? And she was like, it's not that warm in here. I was like, all right, you're a psychopath. Come back to the next gig. So anybody that came to the gig, I just want to thank you so much. And it was very cool. With it sounding soppy, it felt very cool having you there and thinking, I can't believe I've got a podcast and this is amazing. And I fell out of love with stand-up before the podcast, and then I've started the podcast. It made me fall back in love with comedy. And then I'm like 36 episodes deep and I'm like, you know, I sacked my agent that was shite. And I'm like, I've got the fucking buzz back.
Aye, good, man.
So, and there was a camera there, so maybe get some stuff up on TikTok. So
100%.
Maybe next year we could be doing Hamden, mate.
Doing a live podcast.
Aye.
We should definitely do something like that. I would love to do something like that. I mean, I don't know if it would be funny, but we could do something. Do something live. There was a guy there that I worked with McDonald's.
Do you know, the guy came up to me and he said that?
I worked with him at McDonald's like, I mean, what, I'm fucking 15. He was a couple of years younger than me, so...
Was it Gavin?
Gavin, aye. And he said to us, what are you doing here? And I was like, I do a podcast with Darren. And he was like, oh, are you Paul? And it was a weird thing, because I'm like, I've known you for like 25 years, mate. He's like, no, I just didn't have the idea that was you. But then he was like, my mate did his old podcast, and I was like, oh, well, awkward.
Aye, the boys were there, the boys that done my old podcast. It was one of the ones that kind of ended awkwardly, but I think when you realise, like, I was like, no, wait a minute, he's my mate and I don't want to lose a friendship.
Aye.
Like, let's just kiss and make up and get on with it. Sometimes shit happens, you know what I mean? Life is too short for that shit.
He was saying that he listens, mate, Gav's a really, really fucking great guy.
Aye.
It's one of the weird ones where you meet somebody when you work at McDonald's and then throughout your life, like every sort of 5 year, I meet that guy.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And
he's quite comical, isn't he? Like, I've
He's a
found
funny
myself like laughing at him and he's like, what? He's not even trying to be funny.
he's not trying to be funny. Unintentionally funny, for
Because
sure.
he's got quite a cartoonish voice, isn't he? All right, how you doing, mate? And you're like, what?
Feasterhouse. You got there.
So we'll move on for the stand, but I'm still fucking flying for that, man. So I'm looking forward to the next one. It's right up to Christmas. I just confirmed Gavin Webster for one of them. Not for the next one, but for the one in September. Gavin Webster is an amazing stand-up comedian for Newcastle. He's essentially the Geordie version of Raymond Mearns. He's also done some really good films like what's that film, man? I Am Daniel Blake.
Right.
He's got a wee part in that.
Okay.
He'll pop up in wee films like that. Amazing stand-up comedian. I've never gigged with him before. In fact, I gigged with him once, but I've seen him in the past and we kind of know each other, but we've never really gigged. So
right.
I'm like, get him on.
It's a good opportunity, like, to play in a legendary room in front of a good crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it must shite going to see when you go to another city and there's nobody there, you know, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible. So that night that you're putting on is a good opportunity for people to come from another city if they're like up and coming, and you know what I mean, could maybe sell out half of the stand, 150 folk or whatever.
Oh yeah. And plus I'll always give a chance to people like Mikey Motion. There'll always be an opener
for Scotland, for Glasgow type thing.
Maybe no, it depends, but I just want to give people a chance. Like, even in the green room, I seen them buzzing and I was like, I remember my first Sunday. Like, I mean, my first Sunday wasn't like that, mate. Like, my first Sunday was in the Glasgow stand. There was like 40 people in the room. And today, your first Sunday outside Red Raw to a packed stand crowd, and it was like a Friday night. That must be unbelievable. That blew my fucking mind. Like, I'm like, if I was in his position, I'd be like, what the fuck? This is mental. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, for sure, mate.
So I always want to give it to people like him. First and foremost, he's just funny. That's all that matters.
He could be a good source of him being able to tell you who the good up-and-comers are that are outside of that level that you're talking about, because Mikey's working a lot with giving people a platform that wouldn't maybe be at the level for you to give them a platform at the stand, but he'll maybe know a couple of gems. Do you know what I mean? People that'll be like, maybe you should get them in, you know what I mean?
And there's a couple of things, I don't want to keep talking about this, right? But I made it £8 a ticket, right? Deliberately made it £8 a ticket. I personally think that's cheap, right? I know times are tough. I've made it as cheap as possible so people can afford it. So, like, see if you're an up-and-coming stand-up comedian and you want a gig at the stand and you want to get to know people, buy a fucking ticket for the gig. Come to the gig and introduce yourself. Now, I don't know if I can give you a comp because I've already gave away 20 fucking comps. Like, I need to pay the acts. I can't just give away comps. But if you want to be part of the circuit, if you want to meet people like Susie McCabe and Raymond Mearns, buy a fucking ticket, come up, introduce yourself, and then we will be like, oh, that's an up-and-coming stand-up comedian. He's a good cunt or she's a good cunt. Give her a gig. But all these people are like, oh, I love the stand and I love Susie McCabe and I love Raymond Mearns. Well, where are you on a Friday? If you're not gigging, where are you on a Friday and a Saturday night? Like, you could be at the stand watching these people. Like, Susie McCabe's going to be the next big thing coming out of Scotland. Like, you could get into the stand and watch her on a Friday night. So, pull your finger out your fucking ass and stop talking shite. Like, when I was kind of getting into the circuit, I went to the stand 5 nights a week. Or you just like drop people a DM and say, like, can I get in? But if you've not got any guests left, I'll buy a ticket. So that can, unfortunately, like, that can help you get a gig as well. Like, I mean, first and foremost, it just matters if you're funny. But if you're at a gig, you're like, no, they've shown that they're interested.
Aye,
like,
man,
fucking,
networking.
Aye.
Plus showing support as well.
See the amount of people that told me that they were coming on Sunday and they just didn't come. I mean, it sold out anyway, but I'm like, just buy a ticket, you fucking dick. Anyway.
Next time as well, man, get on the fucking link. You turn up at fucking on the door, might not get in.
I had to tell that to, I had 2 pals on my guest list and they were like, we're going to bring 2 mates. And I was like, mate, buy a ticket. And on the night, they were like, thank fuck we got a ticket, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've made it £8. I could have made it £13, but I don't want to do that to my punters. I want to set up a nice, friendly gig that's going to be...
Aye, mate.
I want people to do that. £8, man, that's brilliant.
Aye, mate. Getting to see you, Mikey, Rachel, Raymond Mearns and fucking Susie McCabe for £8. A bargain, mate.
Aye.
You could go to the Fringe next month and you would probably spend fucking £15 a ticket for each one of the acts. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So you're talking about a good fucking £60 worth of comedy that you're getting on a Sunday night. They do a good pint.
There we go. There we go. So moving on from that, we've also, I took a note. I mean, I've got subjects to cover here, but as a human, I'm very interested. Are you itching your ass?
No, mate. I've just come back for the gym. Just get that pure achy back.
I thought you were getting right in about your ass there.
Scratching my hemorrhoids.
I was like, why is he staring right into my soul when no blinking? Scratching his arse. Like, I know it was £8 a ticket, mate, but wasn't it that good?
Let me go for a quick piss, huh?
Yes. Sorry. Paul and I took a pee break there, not at the same time, but we had to take a pee break. So that's
cross swords.
Aye. Paul, before he went on holiday, accidentally dropped a hand towel in the toilet, and it was like, have you ever seen that film Basket Case with the wee...
I don't think so.
So basically, Basket Case is a wee independent B-side horror, and it's about a guy who keeps his deformed twin in a basket.
Right, okay.
That was the towel.
Right, aye. Do you know what? For the Megastore days, I remember the DVD cover.
I would imagine it would be good if you were stoned. Speaking of stoned...
What, the movie?
Right. I have took a wee note because I seen on your Insta stories the other night that you were dabbling in mushrooms.
Sure was.
Would you like to share that experience with us?
If you want to hear it, aye, absolutely.
Yes,
so, like, the way that I use mushrooms is I don't use them recreationally. I think I said that properly there. No, like, the prodigy. The prodigy. Yes, I just said it right. I use them as, like, I suppose to be like a pretentious wank about it, quite a spiritual sort of thing. I quite like a reset. So like 2 or 3 times a year, take a fair amount of them. So I had
a heavy dose when you take it in a one, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I had 7 gram total, so 3.5 grams for me, 3.5 grams for my missus. But these were albino A+, so they're like round about twice the strength of like a normal psilocybin mushroom. They're quite strong.
Wow.
So Friday, fuck it, what do you want to do today? And she was like, why don't we just take some mushrooms? I was like, aye, cool. We'd been watching a wee Netflix documentary about the therapeutic use of like hallucinogenics and stuff like that. And sort of was like, aye, fuck it, we've got them there. Took them, like, what do you want to do? So we thought, go for a wee walk around Kelvin Grove, let them set in, go to the shops, get some supplies, and then we'll go home and we'll just not leave the room. We got about halfway around Kelvin Grove and I started to feel like I was walking on fucking marshmallow or something like that. I was like to her, I think I need to go back. These are kicking in straight away. She was like, me too. So we walked up the hill and down towards Charing Cross, and we were coming down like a wee cobblestone path sort of lane. Because I was like, they were drilling and shit out on the main road. And I was like, stay away from that fucking pish. Go down this wee lane. And I was like, I think these are peaking.
Oh my God.
And I was looking at the watch and I was like, we took these 45 minutes ago. Was it? Fuck the peak, man. So about it peaked at about 2.5 hours in. That's when the peak happened, right? But about an hour and a half in. So we get back to the room and I like lay down in the bed, but I got to that sort of like uncomfortable. I need to get up, walk about, I need to do some stuff like that. I need to breathe, like they're starting to coming up. Like see that coming up feeling that you get on an eckie as well, where you're just sort of like a bit anxious, a bit tingly. I felt like that and she was like, I'm not feeling like that yet. So I was like about 10 minutes ahead of her with like the trip. And so after I lay down and mate, I just cried.
Oh my God.
For a full hour. Just sat and sobbed. So like the last year's been quite tough. No mentally, because obviously like as a therapist and I go to therapy, I do work. I've got a lot of tools that I use to like manage myself and sort of like keep myself nice and grounded. But like, you know, there's been lost family members. She's lost family members. And as a therapist as well, coming out of lockdown, I hear everybody's sadness and all the sad stories. So I just had this sort of thought of like, it's been a really sad year and just burst out. I was just like, don't try and like, my second thought after that was, oh, don't think about that, think about something happy. And I was like, no, do you know what, man? See if this is what it's going to be about, this is it. Yeah. So I just burst out great and she was like, are you all right? And I'm like, I'm fine. You just need to leave me. Just leave me to it. Mm-hmm. So like I sobbed for about an hour. And then honestly, mate, I shut my eyes and I just went and I was gone. I was like seeing pyramids, was seeing like New York City like crumbling in itself, like seeing my dystopian fucking Armageddon shit. But there was like a voice kept on being like, but it's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all right. It's all right. This is just what could happen. This is seen like Roman, like the Roman Empire was like symbolic though. It was like a Roman type place that sort of crumbled and then like a sort of Greek type building that crumbled and then like a pyramid that crumbled. And then I just seen like New York City crumbling. I was like, what the fuck? Then it was like the planet was grinning on itself and it was all like, and then there was just this like darkness. But I was telling my mate about it and he was like, mate, that's terrifying. I was like, but I wasn't scared. I just had this pure calmness about me. What was weird was then I started to think there was like a voice was going, everything will be all right. And then she went, everything's going to be all right. And I was like, that was weird. And then there was another voice went, you've done it. Don't worry about it. You're coming down. It's done. You've seen what you need to see. And then she was like, we're doing it. Don't worry. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And my mate was like, you must have said that out loud. I'm like, mate, I couldn't speak. I was drooling. Like, see when I can't. So it started, there was, and as well, man, which was weird, there was like this biblical fucking rain that happened on Friday. And that brung me out of the trip. And I was like, oh, it's raining. Because all I was hearing was just like, wum, 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 like vibration shit. And I wasn't even in the room, man. I was gone. I was just lying. Fucking, I was coming into my body, sort of going, oh, fuck, this is intense. But then just away again. And then coming into my body and then going away again. Sort of every 15 minutes for about 3 hours. And then I was like, I could hear this sort of like vibration noise, just like what I was saying, like a wum, 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 wum. And then I heard like the rain and I thought, is it raining? And then I like opened my eyes and looked outside and I was like, oh, it's raining. And I said to her, look at the rain. And she was like, fuck, I was gone there. We checked the time and I was like, fuck, it's 6 o'clock at night. We took the mushrooms at 2 o'clock. So it was like 4 hours later. And
the fact that it was raining like that,
and then
when you were tripping,
and then it
is
mental. It was after it.
Aye.
So we were sitting going, this is so weird that it started raining like this after we've come out of this trip. And it was just, mate, I just felt, see, after that, I just felt calm and just sort of like nice, but a wee bit sort of sad. Was just like, fuck, man, there was just a lot of sort of sadness in that.
Yeah.
But then me and her had like a conversation where I was like, we've been through a lot this last sort of 18 months, 2-3 years. It's just been like I said, lost uncle, lost auntie, she's lost her granny. It's just been a lot of shit like that, as well as having to speak to people and hearing their sort of stories. You take some of that on. So I was like to myself, so I got my journal out and I was journaling and I was like, I think I needed that. I think I like cleansed myself. You like carry everything about, you know, like all these stories, people telling you that they're suicidal, haven't tried to help people through these things. And I think I needed it. There was just a part of me that was like, I need to just let go of all of this.
Yeah.
So it was that. And then for about 2 or 3 hours to about 8 o'clock at night, it just felt like a really sort of nice trip after that, where I just started seeing like the colours and the geometric shapes and could hear everything, put on the Beatles, sitting howling at some of stuff, put on some stand-up comedy, we're sitting pissing ourselves laughing at Bill Burr, and just sort of like gradually come down. But it was intense as fuck.
How long was the full trip?
I think I ate about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it was 8 hours.
Wow,
That's when I at sort of like 9:45, I was like, I just felt a pang of hunger. Hadn't ate all day.
Yeah.
So it was quite intense, but I think I needed it, mate. It was, I don't know, man. Like I said, I do like it. That's like my connection to my spirituality. I don't believe in God, like be a big beardy man, or anything like that. But I believe in higher power, and I believe that there's more to this. There's more to existence than just what we experience. And I think things like hallucinogenics give you access to like different things that our instrumentation can interpret. Something along the lines. I don't know if I've fully fleshed that out.
No, I know what you mean. That's really weird that you would say that though, because it reminds me of the time I took ayahuasca. I remember having a dream. I think I've said this on the podcast. I had a dream that I was with the people that I was taking ayahuasca with at the camp. We were in a park and the shaman said, thunder and lightning is nature's music. Mm-hmm. And I woke up in a thunderstorm in my tent. And then I told the guy that took me there, wait a minute. We were taking ayahuasca and the shaman said in his language, he said something in his language, and the interpreter said, thunder and lightning is like nature's music. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I said to the guy, because I told the guy that took me there what my dream was, and I said, did you tell him my dream? And he was like, no. I was like, how the fuck did he say that then? And he's like, I swear to God, I never told him. So it was all connected, and DMT is quite similar to that shit. Mm-hmm. Like maybe not as intense, but I mean that sounds really intense. But
aye, that's one of the most intense mushroom trips I've ever had.
Yeah.
See, if you had said to me before it, this is what it's going to be like, I'd have been like, nah, I'm alright.
Yeah.
But I was happy to go through it after it was done.
Did you have a good sleep?
Oh mate, like slept for like midnight through to like 11 o'clock. Had like a pure 11-hour sleep. Woke up feeling tired and sort of like, fuck man,
creamy.
But like just sort of like, right, that I think that's what I needed. I needed to just unload a wee bit, do you know what I mean? And that's what I got. But
I found it quite funny because when you posted about it, I think I said something like cheeky boy, and then 13 hours later you text me, mate, we need to talk about that.
But mate, I mean, I don't know how she was saying stuff to me, and I was like, I was thinking that like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
it was so strange, you know, like if you're cynical and I can be cynical, and my mate was like, you must have been saying it, and there's a part of me was like, maybe I was saying it out loud.
Yeah.
She was like, you weren't saying fuck all, you were just lying there fucking drooling. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, I said, she was just a wee bit behind me, so when I came out of it, I was like there for her to get through it, because she was going through it. She's like, I'm still in it, man, I'm still going. I was like, it's all right, like I
believe you, mate. I believe all that stuff was there thousands of years before anything else. It's been took by tribes to way back. I believe that there's a connection there somehow, that that is a very common thing. It might be intense sometimes or other times, but I think it's
sometimes when there's nothing really going on and you take them, you just feel nice and fuzzy and you just see some stuff and you giggle.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going through some stuff and you're sort of like maybe compartmentalising it, you don't even know that you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're feeling like had a lot of whatever, a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt. It needs to come out, and I think sometimes it just sort of. I can just remember just thinking, "Fuck it, man! You need to greet, just greet."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, aye, mate, it's incredible, mate. I was reading a book that I read when I was on holiday. Actually, it's called Fake History, and they spoke about how the colonizers, when they went to like the New World, like South America, and these dudes were taking like peyote and having these spiritual experiences, they actually tried to destroy it because, and this is in diaries, where they went, these people have direct access to God.
Wow.
And the Catholic Church were like, we do not want people to have direct access to God. That is our thing. And then, you're just like, I don't know, man. I think they're natural. Fuck's sake, you can go and pick magic mushrooms at Loch Lomond if you want. I mean, they're not quite as intense as the ones that you get down near the equator where shit just grows. But I believe in plant medicine. And honestly, see if you're of a nervous disposition or you've got like mental health problems or anxiety or whatever, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's unless you're looking to really like fucking go to the coalface with it and face it, because it's anything that you're like running away from, when you go into these experiences, there's no getting away from it, man. It's just right there. And it's like, what you got to do about this? And I think it takes, you need to be able to deal with that, and you need to be ready to face that. I think a lot of people take these things thinking, oh, I'll just have a laugh. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm saying that is I'm not advocating anybody goes and does this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want anybody like DMing being like, I went and took fucking mushrooms, you prick, and had a fucking terrible night. Don't do it. Like, I do it for my own reasons, and I've got a lot of experience on it, so I can do these things safely. But I'm not saying go and do it.
I always say that about ayahuasca anytime someone asks me that, was it good? And I'm like, I felt like I get raped by a demonic force that severely pulled me to the brink of losing my mind. Like, to go through that and then go back to Glasgow like nothing happened, and to see some weird visions, and to just supposedly you're supposed to just live your normal life again. Like, if I was fucked, like mental health problems and stuff, I can see why people would have breakdowns taking mushrooms and ayahuasca and DMT and stuff. So I don't recommend ayahuasca at all, unless, because I went over, I had depression and anxiety and stuff, and I was like, this will help me. And then you take something like that and you're like, I have no got depression. Like, know the way that other people have got stuff. Like, there was like sexual abuse victims there, and I'm like, I feel like an imposter here.
They're there for their trauma.
Yeah.
Like, to try and...
I'm an imposter because I have a fucking kebab on a Friday night. I'm like, all right.
You should watch it on Netflix, mate.
Yeah.
There's a whole episode on how MDMA or Eckies help people with trauma. Because it, really and truly, as a therapist, I know this, right? The only way for you to deal with your trauma is to face it. There's no getting away from it. You can't run away from it. If you've witnessed something that is traumatic, you can't, the memories are there. Even people that manage to disassociate and block it, they're in there. They're in there swirling about. And what they do with MDMA is they get to people, and as you know, when you take ecstasy, you'll tell a JK at a bus stop your full fucking life story. So it gives people that opportunity to engage with these difficult memories. It's an amazing bit, spoiler alert by the way, but there's an amazing bit in it with the guy's trauma. He finally tells them his trauma, and he's like, I witnessed my mom getting raped and murdered. And they were like, what happened when you took the MDMA? And he's like, I seen the murderer, and I went up and I hugged him, and I forgave him in an instant. And he's like, I'll never be the same again. He was like, I feel like a new person. When it's like a miracle, you're like, what the fuck? This is somebody that's probably spent like 30 years running away for this terrible memory, and how he got over it was seeing it happen again and being like forgiving the person that did it.
Wow. What's it called?
Let me have a look, mate.
I'm going to take
It's the name of a book. If you, I don't have Netflix on my phone.
Uh-huh.
It's the name of a book of a guy that basically, MDMA documentary.
So if anybody's...
How to Change Your Mind.
How to Change Your Mind.
And it's author Michael Pollan, who's been on Rogan and he's done all the podcast scene in America, who I think in a process of self-discovery, trying to like fix himself, doing all this research. I think he's a doctor, looked into, oh wait a minute, like they were doing all these clinical trials in the 50s with like psilocybin, LSD, MDMA to use it for people to fix people's mental health.
Yeah.
And then obviously the story of like Ram Dass, and he was a doctor, that he was a chemist who discovered, one of the guys that discovered LSD, and then he became this like world spiritual leader.
Wow. So if anybody's listening, then you can go and check that out.
How to Change Your Mind.
You know that's going to be the good shit as well. It's no cut with fucking carpet fluff. For some cunt for Poso.
Aye, 100%, mate. 100%.
It's the good shit. Thank you very much for sharing that,
That's
mate.
all right, mate.
I'm glad that you feel better and you got that emotion out.
I didn't feel bad before it.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's like, but I came out the other side knowing I needed that.
A wee spiritual purge.
100%, mate. Just needed to just have a good greet about how sad the last couple of years has been.
Yeah.
And aye, man, it just opened the well, and the well was needing fucking drained for sure.
Imagine if you looked there at your cat and your cat was like, you alright?
Oh, mate, I was looking at him and he looked like my fucking bed turned into a desert and he turned into the Sphinx. That was just right before I went fucking into the stratosphere. That was the last thing I can remember seeing in the room. And then I lay down and shut my eyes, and then that was it, mate. I went off. I wasn't even in my body. Like I said, I was getting into these weird hallucinations and then coming back into my body and then being like, right, I'm all right. And then being like, turn that off, because the YouTube video had rolled onto some other fucking pish. Turn that until eventually we just turned the TV off and we sat in silence for like fucking 3 hours.
Because when you text me, we need to talk about that, I was like, he's getting a fucking Vietnam veteran vibes here, man. Like, you're coming back for war. But it sounds like you had a good laugh, mate. Do you want... I know, horrific fucking childhood trauma. Sounds like a good laugh. You want to end the podcast on a wee story?
Aye, let's go for it, mate.
I'll lighten things up a wee bit.
Aye, let's go for it.
I can't remember how I remembered this story. I seen something on the telly about somebody that gets sacked for a supermarket, and it reminded me of a time that I worked in Asda.
Right. So
I'll tell you a wee story that when we nearly get sacked through my actions.
Who nearly get sacked?
Me and all the trolley boys.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now, by the way, my brothers had my back. Nobody grasped me.
Right, okay.
So
your trolley boy brothers?
My trolley boy brothers, man, they were like the Masons. So the trolley boys had a cupboard in Asda, and it was behind a lift. So it wasn't just like a normal broom cupboard. It was like cement. That you would open the door and it'd be like a cement room, a big massive room, and there'd be a lot of bags in there for the checkouts, and they would store things in there. So when a manager would say go and get his bags, we would go to the trolley boys cupboard.
Right.
Now I had a couple of colleagues that were lazy bastards. I won't name them, but proper skiving lazy bastards. And there was this wee corner side of the cupboard that you could go around and stand there, but they would put bags, so they'd make a wee seat and go in for a skive.
Okay. Yep.
So there was an unwritten rule, like if you wanted a skive, go into the trolley boys cupboard, don't rip the arse out it though. Do you know what I mean? Don't rip the arse out it.
Sorry mate, I'm just laughing at the trolley boys cupboard.
Well, it's not there anymore because I fucked it.
Right.
It's just a cupboard. But there was a guy there that I used to work with all the time, and you know what? We had an unwritten rule. See if you've got a 15-minute break, take 25 minutes, but don't rip the arse out it, man. Like, because it's even though it's brain-wise, it's no a hard job, but it's a physical
Aye.
shite job, you know what I mean? So if you leave a man behind, we're all fucked. And there was this guy that used to go into the cupboard, right? I never realised that he was in there all the time. And I went in to get bags once, and I found, I used to be mad for Lucozade, right? Bottles of original Lucozade.
Ugh.
This was back in the day when I did not give a fuck about my health or my diet, and I used to drink litres of the stuff.
Right.
And there was a guy that I worked with that used to drink it with me, right? You could get a litre bottle of Lucozade for like £1, and the two of you used to just tan them. Like, I'm like, why is my eyes sore? Like, why can I not see through my right eye? Before I knew even what a calorie was. So I went in one day, and there was like half a cake that he ate, and he left it there. He never even put it in the bin, and it was like mouldy and out of date.
Oh, fuck's sake.
And this was on top of when the car park was fucked. Trolleys everywhere, man. It was like a war zone. And I snapped. I was like, ah, lazy bastard, man. Lazy bastard. So he used to also leave his empty bottles of Lucozade in the cupboard.
Right.
Like, fuck knows how many bottles of Lucozade were there. Like 30, 40 Lucozade bottles. And I just like snapped. I don't know what came across me. I did it for like comical reasons as well, but I found like tape. No sellotape. It wasn't quite sellotape. It was what would you say?
Parcel tape.
Parcel tape. Aye. Couple of steps up for sellotape. I got all the empty bottles of Lucozade, right? And I got the parcel tape, and I turned the Lucozade bottles into a crucifix. No, it was a man-sized crucifix.
Right.
That's how many Lucozade bottles were
Right,
there.
okay.
And, you know, I was in there for a good 40 minutes making this crucifix. And then I taped it on the wall. I put it on the wall. So as soon as you open the door, you'd see this crucifix of Lucozade bottles
right.
sellotaped to the wall. And then I got a bit of paper, like an A4 bit of paper, sellotaped that on the wall. And then on the paper, I put the shrine of Lucozade and just left it there.
Right.
Now, I worked in Asda for fucking 8 years.
Right.
Nobody's ever been in that cupboard apart from the trolley boys. Like,
Right.
ever.
Okay.
In my entire time there. About 10 days after it, somebody radioed me, because we all had radios.
Right.
And I think it was a security guard. And he's like, what the fuck have you been doing in that cupboard? And my manager called us all in. And it was basically what it was is, you know how sometimes Asda, I need to be very careful with my words here, Asda employ people that might not be very good at the job to give them a chance at life.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, do they take on people where they get like tax breaks for taking on people that would normally just be on benefits?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So one of the boys was in those situations
Right, okay.
when, you know, he tried his best.
Aye,
but
like
when
learning difficulties or whatever, right?
he tried his best, but when it came to things like putting bags out and taking rubbish bags away, he wasn't very good at it.
Right.
So there was a time when it was just him working for like 2 hours, and it was fucking carnage, man, right? So our manager was like, I'm not going to ask him to get the bags because he's struggling.
Right.
So I'll go in and get the bags.
Right. And they found the shrine of Lucozade.
She found the shrine of Lucozade, mate.
Oh, no.
We all get called in, right? Into the fucking workers' room upstairs. And it was like, individually, it was like fucking the usual suspects, man. She went through us individually. And I remember sitting there and she was like, Darren, you're a good worker and you're a good person. Cut to the chase. Tell me right now, who made the shrine of Lucozade? See the way she said it though?
Oh.
I just couldn't help but laugh.
Right.
And she was like, that, tell me right now and you won't get into trouble. And I was like, I swear to God, I've never seen it. And she's like, how you never seen it? It's the size of a wall. She went through every single trolley boy and not one trolley boy grassed me in, man.
Good
But
boys.
I got to the point that I was like, I would tell you. If I knew who it was, I would tell you.
Don't back down, double down.
Aye. So I was like, I'll go and I'll try and find out. I'll try and find out for you. Like,
oh, mate.
so see the boy that went in there with cakes.
Uh-huh.
I remember because we would walk around the car park together and we'd do a circle and do a bay each.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking, I didn't grass you in for the cake. You didn't grass me in for the Lucozade. And he's like, cheers, mate. And I was like, no, thank you.
Did they all know it was you?
Do you
Was
know,
there suspicion? Were you sus?
there was like 4 trolley boys that knew it was me. And like the guy with the cake was like, I can't believe you done that, man. That was mental. But no, everybody found it eventually. But as soon as I left, I was like, I was destroying the Lucozade.
Oh, did you? Did you admit it?
I never said to the manager. I mean, if we cut this up and put it on TikTok, she'll know eventually.
Send it to her in the DM.
Aye, it was me. But that's how much I loved Lucozade as well. I had to make a shrine.
Make a
of it.
shrine.
So
Praying to the god of Lucozade. I didn't want to interrupt the story. It was a good story. It's hilarious. I can't believe you were pure. Here, give me 10 minutes. I'll go and see if I can find out who it was for you. Like, I'll be a double agent. Try to find yourself.
I was like, you know that I've never been in there. I rarely ever go into that cupboard. I was like, I'm starting to believe my own lies here, man. Like a fucking schizophrenic.
He's so good at that. Mate, that's brilliant. What is the flavour of original Lucozade?
The orange one, actual orange.
No, the orange one, like just the original red fucking bottle of Lucozade. What flavour is that supposed to be?
Do you know, that's a really good question because I can't describe it to anything. When it had sugar in it, it's quite burny when you drink it. It's quite hard on the throat.
Right.
And it's good to drink when you had a come down, a hangover, or when you're fucked.
Mm-hmm. It's because it's got caffeine in it.
I don't think there's any taste to an original Lucozade.
It tastes to me like licking an iron bar. So like that metallic, it's got that sort of like, it doesn't taste like anything other than this sensation, like the fizziness, and then just like a sort of like iron, like blood, like the taste of blood in your mouth.
A wee bit like medicine as well, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Aye. I mean, it's shite since, I think I've said this before, them taking sugar out of Lucozade saved my fucking life, mate.
Did they take sugar at it?
Aye. With the sugar tax.
Oh, did they?
Aye.
Right, same as Iron Brew.
Because they done it with Iron Brew and stuff. Because my pals get really bad diabetes. And he's like really fit guy and stuff, but he'd fucking guzzle Lucozade, man, because sometimes he just needs sugar.
Uh-huh.
But they changed it and he's like, that's me fucked.
The orange Lucozade used to be like syrup. Pure syrupy. I've never been a fan of it, mate. I remember when Red Bull came out, I was like, right, here's a caffeine drink I can go on board with. This is better. That's better. Even that's fucking howling.
I read, but I took a slug of that the other night. See Susie, she drinks a can before she goes on stage, and she left half a can at the door. And I was like, fuck it, I'm taking a slug of that. That was the first time I've ever took a drink of it in like, I don't know how many years. But I was like, maybe I've got COVID. But and then I never got to sleep till 4 in the morning. But that story about the shrine at Lucozade, man, it just makes you think, like, see when you're trapped in a job like that, you think, oh, my life is shite. But see when you think back, you're like, that was a good laugh, man.
Aye, mate. So I've mentioned this a few times. Worked in Virgin Megastore in Buchanan Street, the big, massive, like, Virgin Megastore. That unit, right, has got storage on the roof.
Oh, aye.
And that's where we used to go to smoke cash if you were on shift and the manager wasn't a ball bag or like wouldn't fucking crash in or whatever. And there was one time I went in there into the storage to clear it out. I think we were doing like a big clear out. And right down the very back, now this was years and years after this, was like a Sony PSP like stand that they used to now, like, they'd send them out and they would put them in the games department, plugged in, set up, wee pile of games.
Amazing.
And nobody knew it, never ever found out who it was. So some cunt was going up there for years and just sitting playing a fucking Sony PSP. Like the old fucking game stand.
So he's took it out of the box.
No, it was like a disregarded demo unit.
Amazing.
But he had a wee pile of games, like PSP games, where he's been up, whoever it was, might have been multiple people. But I bet you that exists in nearly every workplace. There's like a wee place where people go to fucking skive, and there's like an ashtray, like a fucking, do you know what I mean? Something like that.
There's a pair of pants lying there, man, a toothbrush. What the fuck's
Use Johnny.
But I mean, that store's been changed into a restaurant now, isn't it?
Oh, it's vacant. It was like an Italian buffet place, like a weird fucking mammoth Italian buffet. But now that full row of shops there, it used to be Top Man, Virgin Megastore. It starts at the JD Sports now, and it's JD Sports. Then there's another empty unit, and then Sky on the corner where Buttons used to be. Retail's fucking...
retail's fucked.
Deep, mate. Turn that into fucking hussies.
I know.
We've got a housing crisis, and we've got fucking a Peloton store on fucking Buchanan Street with no cunt in it. You know what I mean? It's mental.
Anytime I used to go into your store, there used to be a bird that I always used to talk to. Like friendly, banterish chat. It was never ever flirty or anything.
In that Virgin Megastore?
Aye. And I remember one time I walked in and there was a fire alarm going off, and obviously I was just completely oblivious to anything that was happening, but the noise was going off like a fucking siren, and yous were all like in a daisy chain standing at the door, like no letting anybody in. And I walked in, and she's obviously annoyed that cunts keep walking into the store like junkies. And I've walked in, and she's like full blown fucking grabbed us and pushed us out. But I remember, I thought we were pals. Like,
I thought we were pals.
Must have been about 16 or 17 or something.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm sorry.
There's all sorts of mental shit happened in there. No, even just with the staff, like CCTV footage of people shagging and all sorts that were staff. But we can wrap up on this. There was one time a guy got caught having a wank in the reggae section.
Wow. Having a wank in the reggae section?
Yep. There was a woman that was a carer for multiple people who, you know, couldn't even go and do the job in Asda. That used to just bring them in, put them on the listening stands, and then go and fucking sit in the Costa Coffee. So you would be like, basically having to take care of people. She's no fucking doing her job. And then there was this guy who was, and he was a serial DVD buyer. He'd buy porn DVD and then bring it back because there was like an adult section. And there was one time he brought it back and there was a lump of shite on the disc.
And it like choked on my fucking tongue there, man.
Literally. Like the guy that was the store manager had to come down and was like, we can't accept that back. Because it's like a 28-day return policy. Cunts used to come in. There was a group of people that'd be there on a Monday morning for new release, would take DVDs, go away and come back the next day and return them. They were burning them, and then it was the guys for the bars and all that. Nobody gave a fuck. You're like, who gives a fuck? It's Richard Branson. You know what I mean? But this guy would buy porn and return it, and there was one time where we were like, there's a mark on that, mate. And he was like, I want my money back, And the store manager came down and went, that's shite. There's a lump of shite on the DVD.
That's disgusting, man. And was he, I know you said don't judge a book by its cover, but was he a smelly bastard?
Oh, mate, some people used to come into that shop and they would choke, you would choke on the smell of them.
Aye.
Coming in for like fucking, going up to like the gaming section for like weird, obscure fucking board games. They had that shit there. They had world music, which attracted fucking weirdos. But this guy, he would literally, it was like an aura of like that sort of like, what's the chemicals in your piss?
I know what you're talking about.
No methane, that's your farts. But whatever, I can't fuck it. I can't think it. But
I know what you're talking about. It's like cat piss, isn't it? Like that.
Exactly like that. And he had like a thin layer of sweat all over his face. He like that kind of flaky skin. Fucking barking, mate. And he returned a porno DVD. He'd return them, and the one time it had a lump of shit on it.
Imagine having the fucking, to even return a porn DVD, you'd rather just stick it in the bin, man.
To have the gall.
Aye.
To be like, and you had to say, like, what's the reason for the return?
And what did he say?
Oh, fuck, I can't remember.
I've watched it.
I didn't like it. Yeah, that's what you could say. You could do that at the 20-day return policy. Bit of a business flaw, I think, but you could just go, I don't like it. And that was one of the reasons on the till, was like, didn't like the product.
That is crazy. Quickly, I know before we wrap up, the guy that was having a wank in the reggae section, did you catch him and chuck him out?
He got caught. He was like staring over the top of the rack at a lassie that was working behind the counter. Mate, that wouldn't be that mental, if you know what I mean. There was all sorts. Sorts of shit went on in that place,
totally
man.
changes everything. I thought he was having a wank because like Bob Marley was playing.
No. He was just there because he could see the till for like the reggae section on the ground floor.
That's
having a fucking pocket wank.
A pocket wank, yeah. I wonder what he's up to these days.
Don't know.
Him that set up the PlayStation. Look, we did a wee bit extra today because we've had 2 weeks off, and we know that you've missed daddies. Is that weird?
No.
I just called us daddies. Because your daddies have missed you as well. That was episode 36. I just want to give a shout out to Back Onside again. If anybody's struggling, check them out. Samaritans, anything like that. I'm also doing therapy myself and I feel much better for it. So get in touch, troops. That was episode 36. I'm going to say as well, see if you enjoy the podcast, please review it and like it on Spotify. If you're in a WhatsApp group with your mates, get it shared and retweeted because it's keeping me and Paul alive. Next week, we've got a new sponsor. It's going to be Merchant City Medical. And I just want to thank everybody that listens to the podcast. It's really, really nice to be back. And I'm away to have a wank in the reggae section.
Do you want to do a Lucasade mural dab?
To the shrine of the shrine of Lucasade. If my manager's no deed, she'll be like, I knew it was you cunt.